What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Gift of Gaming podcast. On this week's episode, we're looking at part 2 of our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review. We've already talked about everything that makes the game just so much fun, but what about those iconic characters? And what about that iconic Final Fantasy VII story? It's all coming up on this week's episode of the Gift of Gaming podcast. All right. Ready for part 2, gentlemen? We're going to hit up some character development, I think, what we think of the Final Fantasy VII characters and the story as a whole.
Yeah,
This is what I was kind of, the game from a gameplay perspective and the bits that we broke down in part 1 there, it's one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played for those. But then comes the Final Fantasy VII part of me that really wants to enjoy this game. So we talk about like these characters, how they're growing, and where the story is going. Off the top, and I'll start with you, Craig.
Are we recording right now?
We're recording right now, yeah.
Oh, shit. I had no idea.
We're right back into it, yeah. We're right back in. Your perspective, Craig, out of all of the characters in the game, who did you enjoy the most?
I would say Yuffie is the breath of fresh air in this game.
Yeah.
But only because she's stealing the identity of Aerith in a way. And what I mean by that is Yuffie has no dialogue in the original game. None. Other than, if you talk to her standing character.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't interact in the story in any way ever.
Yeah. Her or Vincent.
Yeah. They have nothing to do with anything.
Secret characters, I guess. That's fair.
A lot of the times where in the story I was expecting Aerith to give her big line of dialogue, Yuffie said the line. And that was annoying me at times because I was like, you've definitely taken Aerith's dialogue and just given it to Yuffie. Like, for example, when the guys arrive at Costa del the Gold Saucer, it's Yuffie who's the one getting super excited and like, oh my god, look.
But I think,
in the original game, it's Aerith's doing that.
But I think from a story perspective, it's more appropriate that Yuffie, like, she's 16, right? She's a kid, and like, of course, going to a theme park.
But then have Aerith also get excited, and she kind of does. Don't just give it to Yuffie. And a lot of the times, like, say something will happen in the story. Usually, one character will say something, but none of the others will ever comment as well.
Yeah.
Like, you'll arrive at a new destination, and Yuffie will be like, oh, isn't it great that we're here? I think this is amazing. But none of the other characters talk after that. Mm-hmm. It's always one character will get the speech, and then nobody says anything else.
Yeah.
And it felt to me a few times Yuffie was always getting the word, and the other characters were left by the wayside a little bit.
I was completely okay with that. For me, I don't know about you,
but that's why
Colm,
she's the best character. It just felt like she
had a lot to say.
Was getting the best moments.
And I think she was, as you said, the breath of fresh air. She was the kind of, I loved her and Barrett's relationship as well, which definitely developed as the game went on. Mm-hmm. That he was the kind of begrudging, I can't believe we've got a kid with us type of guardian.
Like, she's given out on that trek up the mountain, she's giving out about Barrett. Like, hey, Tifa, is he like 40% like good guy, 60% asshole? Like, that was brilliant. But then as soon as you arrive at North Corel, some guy throws a drink on Barrett, and Yuffie's the first one to jump to his defense.
Yeah, I like that.
I loved that.
Yeah. I really like that. Like that she's slagging him, but she's
insulting him. But as soon as shit went down, she jumped in the way to protect him.
He's in a way a little bit like the Sonon character for Yuffie in terms of Barrett's clearly like the guardian, the bodyguard, which is essentially what Sonon's job was from the DLC. So she's taken on that. For you, Colm, who was the character you enjoyed the most in this game?
Well, combat wise, I'd say like having Yuffie, Barrett, and Aerith. I would say they're my 3 standouts. Mm-hmm. Like as far as Cait-Sith and Red are concerned, I didn't think they were overly useful. Like, I mean, they had their purposes, and like I didn't mind Cait-Sith, but I would rather have someone I like using. Like not minding using them and actually liking it are totally different. So yeah, I'd say the 3 for me are Aerith, and like most of these are all like they can attack you from long range, and like that's great for like building up ATB and stuff like that. As well as that, like they all have like really nice character models. Barrett, I think, got like mixture of Barrett and Tifa. They got like the real shining glory by getting to get transformed with the proto relics into their original kind of pixelated forms.
Yes.
I thought that was just based on who was in my party, so I tried to change my party and then do another one, and it just reverted to just Tifa and
Yeah,
Barrett.
it was
and I
like their
no,
quest, which is a pity.
I wanted to see Red, I wanted to
Such a
see
shame.
Aerith, I wanted to see like even Kate.
At least with the frogs, everyone got turned into frogs.
And they all had
because
their
I thought that
costumes.
was going to be the way as
Yeah.
well, but then every single one of them went
Yeah,
in.
they got into a frog, which is good. And in terms of like character development outside of combat, who did you most enjoy in cutscenes and in conversations? Who was your kind of character of?
Well, come back to me on that one as well. I want to.
Yeah, I'll get you on that.
for that.
It upsets me in a way because after having seen the ending and stuff like that, like I feel like Tifa is getting a really strong lead in this, even more so than Aerith, which I'm surprised at because like Aerith is kind of, you know, the one that's attuned with the fucking universe and all that. Tifa's meanwhile getting swallowed up by Weapon and fucking fighting Sephiroth in another dimension. And like I was like, they're giving Tifa a lot, but it's not really showing or necessary.
No,
like it will become.
I understand what you mean completely because they realize that Tifa is just a background character, which she is. She does nothing in the original game. She's pointless. But in this, they very much like throw her to the forefront through these things that don't really have to happen.
Just on your point about how she does nothing, she's nothing character. Does she not save our hero in the original game?
At the very end of
that's
this
why
too.
they're building this way.
At the very end of this too, she has her moment, which
Yes.
is just Cloud's moment, but she's involved.
Yeah.
She could have been involved earlier if she'd just been like, "Hey, Cloud, that was actually Zach," just so you know. She could have solved everything.
Yeah. The keep him quiet thing is interesting.
But the fact that it was her who fell into the live stream like that, I was like, "Oh, look at them giving her something to do."
That was cool. It was unusual, but it was a cool little scene where that all went down. Because I actually was just kind of like, right, well, she's not dead, but
and she can't die. And they were building it up like it was a really like traumatic moment. But it was like, there's no way anything's going to happen here. Like,
I was more kind of shocked at like, what will the rest of the group do, having Cloud just done this to her? And that shit keeps
really
happening as
isn't
time
it?
goes on, and they're all just fucking standing around, just like on.
They never ever take the right action against Cloud.
And that's what the only person who really gives him any stick over that throughout the game and the storyline. And Cloud is, as the story gets on, is he's getting worse and worse. Like he becomes worse and worse at it. I was only watching another clip there recently, and it's when they meet Vincent in the Shinra Manor. I was just rewatching it, but before that, Cloud goes a bit mental because he's walking into the room where he was essentially experimented on, and he goes a bit Lula again, and they have to go out and they fight Sephiroth, and then Barrett turns to him and like, you know, Cloud he was being his wacky self, and the last time he did that he sliced a Tifa, and all Barrett says is like, gives him a punch in the shoulder and be like, "You all right, space cadet?" I'm like, no, someone needs to sit down with this man and have a word with him. But you're right, that part is that's a frustrating story thing throughout, because especially with the Tifa bit, it absolutely needs to be addressed. Like, you try to kill one of us, what the hell's going on there? And it's never narratively, it's never addressed to me in a satisfying way.
Annoyingly enough, like, we know because as soon as Tifa falls in the water, Barrett's like, "Tifa, swim this way." So they clearly were watching. They all saw him do that, but not one of them mention it.
Yeah, that's a disappointing.
I'm sorry, we've
piece of
gone
story.
completely off topic.
Yeah.
You were asked about like your favorite character.
Oh, well, no, that summarized the question quite well, I believe. Like, just chatting about, like, Tifa's role.
So do you like Tifa's role in the game?
Oh, no. Well, I like the importance it has, but I also don't like the actions
that they're putting her through.
Not just her. So in the original, you could argue that she was on her own in that knowledge. In this, Aerith is in on fucking every little secret. Not just Aerith, like fucking Red and Barrett all made comments towards him. Like, as we just said, they're like, it's kind of like they're all a family, but like Cloud's like a domestic abuser, and they're just kind of like all like letting him do whatever he wants.
It's crazy. Like, and
they don't pull him up on it.
And Aerith is as someone who knows what the hell is going on as well, because she just, you know, we'll get to our theories, but like, we're kind of saying that Aerith is kind of in a little way a bit like Sephiroth in that she's all knowing, and to some degree she's transcending all these timelines, so she knows that Cloud's fucking messed up, and she just looks at him all the time. I'm like, no, someone needs to say something to Cloud.
But whatever the plan was for Aerith changed after Crisis Core. Like,
yes, big
completely.
Time. Yeah.
Like, as soon as the game begins, like, one of the first things Tifa says to Aerith is like, "Oh, hey, what was Cloud like? I mean, shouldn't you know?" And she's just like, "Oh yeah, the Whispers deleted it all from my mind. I don't remember."
Yeah.
That's gone. Like, whatever the plan was for Aerith, it's just gone. It's erased. They've decided Crisis Core is important and we're going to change it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hate that, but that's exactly what happened. Because she has none of the memories that she had from the previous game in this game. Until maybe the end, you know.
I think it's just gone for myself, for the characters in terms of who I most enjoyed. I'd have to put Yuffie up there as, you're right, it's a breath of fresh air is the exact phrase I'd use for Yuffie. Entertaining, lovely. I love her relationship with everybody. The fact that she's in on the girls giving Coyote a hard time sometimes, and she gives Barrett lots of stick for just because he's the group leader. She's a big fan of Red 13. She just treats him like a dog and a cat. And she's just, her relationship with everybody is really wholesome, and I quite like it.
She just suits the vibe of a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah. On this big mission,
quite a tomboy. You know,
she's fantastic. I think if I had to pick someone that they really, I mean, forget about it. I mean, I know what you're saying about Aerith, but if they've done anybody dirty, it was Red 13.
Oh, I was just about to say, like Red 13 being like very done dirty after the arrival of Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah.
But I was just playing today, and it's when you're on the ship on the cruise going from Costa del Sol, to Costa del Sol, and it's during the card tournament, and Red gets told he can't play.
Yeah.
And then fucking Barrett says something to him in the dialogue. He just tells him to sit. And then like Red just like says in his like manliest fucking voice, he's just what was the exact words he said? He's just like, never. Like,
yeah,
he's like,
and he sounds great, and there's the
his adult voice is so good.
So good. And
seeing that was just so fucking cool. Having like played the rest of the game, as we will go to describe.
Character assassination.
As soon as you arrive in Cosmo Canyon, he just immediately changes his
voice
tone.
Yeah.
But not only his voice, he changes his entire
character.
attitude and the way he's portrayed completely. He no longer is the same character. He's just now a completely different character.
And that was such a pity in that Kevin hasn't gotten there yet. It's funny that Kev's been quite busy over in New Zealand, and I stay in touch with him being like, how you getting on? But he still hasn't gotten to that Cosmo Canyon bit yet. And he won't be listening to these episodes. I've told him not to listen to it until he finishes the game. But I'm devastated for him. Nanaki, like growing up, Nanaki was always in his like gamer tags when we played online games. He loves Red 13 so much. He loves the Cosmo Canyon bit. And don't get me wrong, everything that's done with Seto, I still think holds a lot of weight, and it's cool. Yeah. I just wish, because my thing about it was, and how I remember the old game, especially after seeing Advent Children, and like, you know, Red's voice was like, there still are children with the stigma. It's like, he's got a cool voice. Him being upset and being angry at himself for what happened with Seto and how he thought Seto actually was, and he was wrong about him. To me, it would have held so much more levity if it was like, if he was just an adult dealing with this. But he's like, oh no, we're just going to revert him to a like 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid.
Well, he always was that. They just didn't portray his voice that way.
No, but I understand that like age-wise he's always been young, but like he's been on the planet for 40-odd years, so he's got some knowledge. Like he's not a 16-year-old in his mind, maybe in terms of how he grows. They live longer or whatever else, but he's been on the planet for 40-odd years. He's going to have a life experience in a way that the deep voice, the adult Red 13 makes sense. The kid stuff threw me off completely, and you said character assassination. Of everything that they did with all the characters, that was a terrible choice.
Yeah, he's my least favorite character because of that choice. Especially because I think Kate Sid's voice is brilliant.
He's amazing.
And every scene with Kate Sid, his music coming on, I'm just like, you little rascal. Something's going to happen here.
And there's certain scenes where like the characters in cutscenes with Kate Sith are just like, he might just be sitting, because he's not always on the mog like he kind of was in OG. So he's just sitting on a wall, and like Sid will come up, and if they move on, Sid will just lift him up and put him down the ground, and off they go. Like,
he's always so well animated with just his little like paws up or something.
Doing the cat moves,
like,
and everything.
Lifts him up, and it's just like, curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
Like it's just great to see. Like he's always the punching bag, but in a funny way, like because he's the traitor at the end of the day. And
I'm glad they did him so well in the character that he is, because his combat isn't great. Like I think we can all agree that he was probably, him and Red 13 being the bottom tier characters when it comes to combat.
I bet that'll be on my predictions. Fucking Kate sitting Red 13 being shit.
You did talk based on the trailers, because I only listened to the episode today. You did talk about how you were worried about the Red 13 Sonic thing. That was always going to be a thing you were worried about.
And if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually was the voice of the guy who played Sonic the Hedgehog. Didn't it sound just like him from the Sonic movie?
The kid
who
voice?
Kid Sonic the Hedgehog and Kid Red 13 sounded the same. The second I heard that, I was like, oh my god, they just cast Sonic the Hedgehog
as Red 13. I didn't write down as a I think you were just watching it being like, that doesn't look like a whole lot of fun. But I think for if there's any background noise, sorry, it's my cat wrecking things. But I think for characters as well, going on to,
staying with characters, because I still want to be able to say that although they gave her a lot of, like, Yuffie stole her moments, I still think Aerith did get enough that, like, she had, like, most of the characters will just say something that's like, oh yeah, great, open that door and blah blah blah. Like Tifa's just riddled with like, hope you're ready to talk next time. Like nothing dialogue that goes nowhere. But I just feel like Aerith was constantly talking about the first game, or like she's obviously someone who cares about the memories she's made with the characters, but she's constantly referencing like Cloud loving the massage from Madame M, or the fact that he danced with Andrea Rodeo on stage, or what were the other things where she was just like talking about how like Red 13's paws would feel like, and then if you go on the date with Cloud and Red 13 later, Cloud is like, well, they are nice. Like there's callbacks to all those things, and I just feel like Aerith was full of those little moments.
Tifa seems to have been set up as the character that has the most serious undertones. Like the Tifa and Cloud thing is so like, and I don't think it's to the benefit of the story either, is that like they're so separate, and they did that right from the get-go. The first conversation you have in the game with any characters was with Tifa, and it creates a divide between them. But going on to predictions, because this is when I'm talking about Tifa, you had said very early on that I know exactly what they're going to do with Tifa. They're going to Sephiroth's going to turn Cloud against Tifa. That's going to be like the thing, that he won't trust that it's her. And me and Kev on those episodes, because we only knew the trailers and some of the dialogue, and we're like, I don't know, Craig, I think he's probably still talking about Aerith, because he talks about, I killed her, blah, blah, blah. And the first conversation you have with Tifa is this whole divide, because Sephiroth literally says before he walks out to talk to her, because Sephiroth appears, and he's like, I killed her, so who is she?
I came up immediately.
And I was sitting there when the first time I played it, and I was like, yeah, Craig, call that one all right. But that is one of the correct predictions. Sorry, Craig, it looks like you wanted to say something there.
Oh,
no?
Shit, did I? No, just you're praising me, so I lost all train of thought. Sorry.
No, I think Tifa is, there's none of the characters I dislike, but I do think that Tifa...
I genuinely think Tifa is a wet blanket.
I think that's reason. I still like all
like,
to say.
Do you remember there's a time where they're talking about, and it's this exact instant where they don't trust each other, and then in Junon, Cloud I think tries to apologize to Tifa, and Tifa invites him into the room, and they're just standing there awkwardly, and then she says something else, and then Cloud's like, wait a minute, was that a test?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, maybe it was, and he's just like, oh, I guess we can just try and talk later. And then she goes, get ready to talk your ear out, and she does a little pose. I'm like, but you have this moment now. Like you're trying to talk now. Like why don't you just finish the conversation?
But I don't think that's a problem with Tifa's character.
But I think it is.
I think it's a problem with
her whole story. Tifa's whole thing in the game is that she knows all this stuff about Cloud but doesn't say it.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much her arc for the entire game.
But I don't think that's in terms of, it's a silly thing that she's not doing. But I don't think that's necessarily a character flaw. I think it's part of the story that they're trying to tell, that they're keeping us on the hook, like they did in the OG game.
Okay,
they keep us on that hook for so long, and they're not doing it very well. And Tifa's the one that they've chosen to keep us on that hook with.
I know,
and
but
it doesn't help character development.
Yeah, it alters her, and it alters her character. But Tifa is the character who, if you came up with a drinking game, she would say, I'm worried, like every second sentence. Like she's the girl who worries about the others. So she's the girl who's worrying about Cloud. And now that's just become her whole identity, I feel, because she's just always hiding like this secret or something. Yeah, she's told Aerith, but Aerith has other stuff to occupy her with the ancients and stuff like that. Whereas Tifa's very much bogged
she's got
down
bigger
with
fish
just
to fry.
this thing.
Yeah, and she won't talk about it. Yeah, and I think that's where the story definitely suffers. I'm trying to think now in terms of other characters within the game that we like or didn't like. I have to say the Turks were top tier. Every scene with the Turks I was totally into and loved.
With the one exception that Reno was missing for the vast majority of the game.
But when he finally came, I love that when he finally came back in, because he's obviously on some kind of, and this is like, I'm going to talk about, get my tinfoil hat or my conspiracy theory hat on here. Reno was on some kind of leave of absence or getting better after getting wrecked by the Sector 7 plate, because you don't really see him again.
Do you think there's going to be more to that?
I think that Reno's having complete second thoughts of his whole position within the Turks, because he didn't agree with the plate dropping, and when he goes out on the next mission, when they're all getting ready to arrive at the Temple of the Ancients, Song says to him, like, keep your eye on the prize here, Reno, because he's worried that Reno's having second thoughts. I think Reno's going to have.
I think he was worried that Reno would just charge a Cloud.
I'd like to think there's more, because they do have that scene in the helicopter when the Sector 7 plate is falling, where they're talking and Reno's like, this is bullcrap. Yeah. Like, why are we doing this? This is crazy. And then they're sitting back at the meeting hall and he's all bandaged up and he's having second thoughts and he's talking to Rude about, like, why are we doing these things? And I like that they have someone in the Turks who might be a little bit like that, because
although they clearly
portrayed
sung as a kind of good guy in this. Like, you know, he
Just-
was clearly doing the morally object things
with
they didn't want
Aerith,
to
with
do.
Aerith, with nothing else. With Aerith, he was.
But like
kind.
Reno in the first game was like gunning down. Like as soon as he saw Cloud on the tower when they're climbing up to defend it, he's like, "Oh, there's that soldier."
Yeah.
Soldier asshole, and then he like starts gunning you down on the helicopter. So like he's clearly a bad dude, like, you know. So I don't think he could
but a bad dude who's having second thoughts is my impression of.
I was very
Reno.
disappointed that Reno didn't appear in Junon when the other Turks did, because in the OG game he is in Junon.
Yeah.
Him and Rude are having a beer together, and then he appears like Gondaga.
But that was a only balls only bar.
That was such a cool moment.
So Reno.
That.
couldn't
I know,
have gone
but
there.
Elena was in a different bar. So there's no, like, Reno could have been in a third bar.
True. But I enjoyed that. Just as a little side note, that Reno or that Rude bald bar was just. We'll get onto it when we talk about the story as a whole, because the Junon bit I think is just the highlight of the game. But I'll go into just a couple more characters before we move on. Elena as a newly introduced character, big fan.
I like that she's so much like Yuffie, but every time, like, do you know the way there's a moment when in Gungaga where Aerith is like, "Oh, I saw someone who looked like Zack, so I just had to say something," even though all the characters don't, like, the parents didn't look anything like Zack. Whereas if I saw Elena, I'd be like, "Oh my God, Tifa, you have a sister," you know, because Elena has Tifa's exact face.
Yeah.
Which
But it's the
character is
blonde
Elena
hair.
though?
The
The
Turks
blonde
one, the
Turk.
blonde girl.
Oh, you just wanted to talk about her a little bit?
I
he
just said just as a new character, did you like her or not like her?
Wait, sorry, when you said Gungaga, I was getting her mixed up with Sisane, and I was just like, what? Yeah. No,
Well,
that's fine.
you're
what I
getting
mean
the
is,
Turks, yeah, a lot
like,
of Turks.
There's a moment where Aerith identifies Zack's parents, who look nothing like Zack, but Elena clearly has Tifa's face. Exact face.
But Craig,
right down
you're
other than blonde hair.
Like,
you
I
know?
mean, this is where you have to suspend your disbelief in video games, because you're talking about character models, which is going to be a little bit more. You're kind of getting a bit pedantic with the.
I am, but only because they did it, you know? Only because Aerith was like, "Oh, they look like Zack."
You know,
Like,
well,
no,
I
they
mean,
don't.
well, there's Zack's parents, so you assume that there's kind of. I know it's a video game, and of course, Zack, you know, main character versus NPC.
I'm just trying to have the gripe that I wish Elena looked a little different.
Yes,
you know?
and you're lucky that she does look in any way a little bit different, because she looked even more similar to Tifa.
Yeah.
They changed her hairstyle apparently in when they addressed Reunion, like the Crisis Core game.
Oh,
they
wow,
switched
did
her
they?
up because they were like, no, this is just a Tifa clone. So they literally
because
had to.
she fights for their fit. Like, she's
Yeah.
basically just you're fighting against Tifa.
Tifa in a
who's blonde
suit.
hair.
Yeah, Tifa in a suit. No, I really liked her in the game. In terms of kind of special appearances, Corneo.
I wasn't happy that he came back. I wanted him to just appear in Wutai.
Yes.
So when he kind of just came in last minute, and then everyone else kind of showed up last minute in that scene as well, I was like, holy crap, we're getting everyone here just right at the end. But it's always great to see Corneo, and like his minions having the hairstyle, I thought was an amazing touch.
Yeah.
Like just seeing a cactuar with like
The quiff.
the quiff was just an exceptional moment.
Or when you're fighting him in the Colosseum and his like kind of henchmen come out and start doing like a rap battle and like interrupting Dio's
Dio,
kind of.
that's so good. Well, because
flair.
the whole point of that thing is they're trying to turn it into Corneo Land versus
Yeah.
that whole, because the two I can't remember those names, but they were in the Colosseum or the Battle Arena in Remake in Walmart.
Corneo Cup.
Yeah, they were. I love them. They were Koch
great.
and something or other.
But the game did something really cool, and it was more so what should happen in Wutai at a later point. But when you beat Corneo, everybody's just like, I'm gonna stomp him off. I'm gonna do this, and Red 13 comes over like, don't bother, I'll buy them off. It's just like, oh,
That was a
shit.
nice
They're
little
running,
touch up to that scene,
they're running a gag, like adding another piece in. I'm trying to think of any kind of other characters that we got like appearances of again from the previous game that
Do you
mattered.
want to know what I thought was odd? I might have to think of the two characters now, but do you remember there's that one mission, a side mission in Corel, where one of the the robed people go missing?
Yes.
And the Dr. Sheeran sends you out to find them.
And there's
And when you
two.
find them, there's two guys with tattoos, a guy and a
yeah.
girl. I was like, what was up with them? Who were they?
They were just like
and what was that?
But I mean, I probably should have done this when we were talking about the open world. But the quality of the side quests was, like, for the most part of the game, I was actually astounded by how detailed they were, because this is clearly like a mercenary group that's like another thing
Yeah.
that might be talked about in the next game.
So
but
maybe they
were
will, but it felt very like I felt very unsatisfied by their like once you beat the monster and they just ran away, I was like, well, surely we'll see them again.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. I was like, well, that was quite odd. Because usually every other character, like the innkeeper and Colm, you see later, or you see Roach later. Like, there's usually something that goes along with that.
Yeah.
But these guys were introduced, and you're like, why would they be stealing robed people?
Yeah.
Were they in the original? Were they in remake? Like,
No.
do they have a small appearance?
No,
there?
Not
they
in
were
at all. They're
they were
just
brand
new
new.
characters.
Because there's that like small gang of punks that
Yes.
you can like. I gave them money and
There's a couple of quests because they're in
Bought the proto-relic from them.
Proto Relic quest. Then there's another one where you have to fight them on the highway, and they leave to go back to Midgard to like become crooks again because they weren't crooks for a while. And like they were fun and everything, but I found them annoying in remake, and I still kind of found them annoying here. Like it was funny to have them back, but I was like, this is a little bit overkill.
You notice how like every single character you met in remake is somehow in this game.
Yeah, they've all left Midgard at the same
Yet
time as
Shinra
you.
can't find you. You know.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like-
Yous were talking earlier about people like Elena and Tifa having the same character model, and I thought this until Yuffie was like shown in the game. But your one Kairi, I just assumed that was Yuffie.
Kyrie, sorry,
Kyrie
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Looks exactly like Yuffie, and
Just the long hair.
In remember in Kingdom Hearts was did Yuffie go by Kyrie as well, or
No,
was
she
that?
was just, I'm the great ninja you.
Yeah, she was.
She had her own name.
There
Okay.
was, though, I don't know if you guys clocked it, but there was a direct reference to Kingdom Hearts with Elena.
Elena with the blue ice cream.
The
With
sea
the blue
salt,
ice
the
pop.
sea salt ice cream when she's eating it on the helicopter. I was
I
like,
was gonna just mention that. I was like, you must have loved that.
I
huh?
loved, and I was sitting there being like, wow. I wasn't expecting them
No,
to do
no
anything.
more references to that game.
Yeah. Well, no, with the ending, it gets very Kingdom Hearts. But I really enjoyed that little nod. I guess kind of moving on from characters because there is so many, and we've got so much of the story to cover. I'm going to kind of jump to kind of the main beats of the story from OG, and I want to get your thoughts on how we think this new version Rebirth kind of how they did it justice. Colm, we kind of already talked about in part 1 at the beginning. We kind of thought that was a cool rendition to do. Going to the main bit, Chocobo, like the Bill's Ranch. How did we
I
find it?
loved Bill's Ranch. I thought it was great just hearing their like there are two side characters that are definitely going to have more involvement than most because the brother and sister are involved and they have this relationship with Chocobo Sam, and there's what happened with their parents. And because Don Corneo was involved, I assume there's going to be a third part to that maybe. But just doing the Chocobo races and then being in the Gold Saucer and doing the Gold Cup and everything, I was really happy with how Bill was portrayed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His sister only got the one little quest, but maybe she'll come into it again.
Which was a nice little quest actually, but yeah, that was, and I love that when I first went into the ranch, and I immediately had a little walk around and was talking to like the brother and sister, like this is amazing, and I immediately just Google searched like the barn, just like a still image of the barn from the OG game.
The OG game,
and I
yeah.
looked at that for a second, and then I ran around what I was playing on my TV screen, and I was like, this game. And because this is
There's
the
even
start
a
of it,
full map of where everything is and stuff like
and
that.
I was sitting there being like, this is outrageous. In from a single still image with 3 polygon characters, they've created this not only like this family feel, but there's a whole thing with the Chocobos. I've got side quests. I've got like it was just
it's
fantastic.
like a welcome center. It's like you are here on the map and all that stuff.
Yeah,
brilliant.
and it set me up for the rest of the game where I kind of thought they're really going to hit on just such good bits. Colin, I'll turn to you because the next bit after the Chocobo Ranch is kind of the swamp crossing and the snake.
yeah.
How did you think they delivered on that?
It was good because I didn't know what to expect. I was anticipating, like in the original game, like when you step on the marsh the first time, you can see the fucking thing come straight for you.
So there's a bit of fear,
And
wasn't there?
It's just like, oh shit, and you run away. So I was like testing the water for a little bit, and then I just kind of was like, right, I'll just move on. And then as I was moving on, I would start getting braver and braver, and then it went into a cutscene while I was traversing. I was like, here we go. It was like, I knew at that point, it's like, yeah, they're gonna just cutscene this big embellishment with story and all that, and I thought that was great, like a really, really fucking cool battle. Oh, there goes the cats. Really cool battle with the Midgar Summer, and I have one little downside, which was just really like, there's like, it looks fucking cool, but it's like, you know, like where you're under the water, it like takes you down after you defeat it, and then Sephiroth saves you.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, obviously that's like a man who's robed, and you see one man who's robed kind of wandering around, but I was just like, that's so unusual. Did that guy just then drown afterwards, or
probably.
Probably, because he does he just uses them willy-nilly to essentially sacrifice himself. And I think great that you brought that up, because this is the first point, like the first time this happened in Remake was when you're walking after you blow up the reactor and you're trying to get back and your path to the train station is blocked off. You see Sephiroth, and in that game, the first time I played it, I was like, oh. Okay, so I'm not playing the OG story. That was the first time I realized that. And in this game, this was our first introduction. I was like, okay, we're on the Sephiroth and the live stream roller coaster. This is where it gets weird. But that being said, and as disappointed as I was to see him so early and be like, oh, he was the one who saved Cloud. I'm like, oh, what am I meant to think about this? Does he want to keep Cloud alive for a certain thing later? Like, the cogs began to turn then, and I was like, this is too early. I just want to enjoy the game. This is too early. But the scene where he launches the snake out and it impales itself on the tree and you still get that image and it was still Sephiroth, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Good to have context for that, because now we know how he killed him in the original game. It was probably a tornado that lifted him up really high.
Yeah. And so just on that fact then, all right, so let's just quickly discuss, how does Sephiroth communicate to Cloud when he doesn't show, like, so he'll, in Cloud's mind, Sephiroth is right there talking
but not
to
to
him,
anyone else,
but never to anybody
anything
else.
So it's
never.
Only,
but there has to be a robed person
there has
nearby.
for him to physically be seen by the others, but not by Cloud.
No, but like Cloud can always be seen talking, like going like Sephiroth, and then they look and there's a guy with a robe,
but not
and
always.
Never,
sometimes there's no one there.
I don't think so. I think there always is.
Like in the inn, especially.
Not.
I know the guy downstairs, but he was upstairs when we had that conversation.
No. Wait, he looks down the stairs
and he sees Broden.
I only played that recently, and I was just like, and because you see him later in the game, like being one
robed.
of the robed,
okay,
and I was like, oh, that's Broden.
You are actually right about that sequence. I shouldn't have mentioned, but there are dozens of sequences when Cloud or Sephiroth is talking to Cloud, and Cloud has his hand over his head, and the others aren't seeing anything.
Yes,
that happens constantly.
There's one or two, like where he's talking to Tifa, and like Sephiroth whispers to Cloud saying like she doesn't have a scar, and then Tifa's like, I showed you my scar, and he's just like, you don't
clearly
have a scar.
There's not a robed guy standing there like inches
but
from them.
I think what they're saying about in that situation or situations like it's the Mako, it's like Cloud being kind of poisoned and stuff like that, and it's the Mako kind of taking effect, and that's why he's having these stronger visions and that no one else can see because only Cloud's affected by the Mako. So I'm like, okay, I'll believe that. But yes, it's very clever that they have a robed man in all those scenes where you see a physical version of Sephiroth, and it took me a while to actually catch on to that being the reason.
Like massively when Sung gets stabbed, there's for no reason at all. There's just the one robed guy standing there. You're just like, why would he even allow this guy to be
it's so funny that they just place him.
No, and they've been like traveling with them as well, like because they're kind of leading them on.
Again, leaves me more to believe that maybe there is more to Hojo than meets the eye.
Oh, I think
because he's almost helping Sephiroth.
Yeah.
You know, like how does he know all these things? Like he's bringing the robed figures to him. Like that's only helping him. So part of me is like, maybe he did experiment on himself. You know?
Well, he in the original game he did. When you fight him in Midgar, he
does it at the end and becomes
no, he had already been doing it.
Had
stage.
he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that, because then he's under Genova's influence, and that's why he's injecting everyone with Genova. He's trying to spread.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that.
And I think
definitely what he's doing there.
What a lot of people have kind of been talking about online is that like when you think about like Genova's the real villain, but then from that Hojo's almost worse than Sephiroth in terms of Hojo's like his stuff is just kind of just gross, creepy, and weird, and just like the desire to experiment in so many people.
The literal father of Sephiroth, and the like reason why he's got Genova DNA in him as well.
Yeah, he's a messed up.
That's another reason why I think Genova is really the true villain. Because especially with this, like Hojo's clearly being influenced and being told to spread Genova outward, and to do so, he created Sephiroth, which is also a product of Genova.
For sure.
Like, you know.
Yeah. Just really before we move on, there's like one really big thing I wanted to always talk about. I got a little payoff with this, and I had said it to Craig at the time, but you know the Wutai ambassador.
Viceroy Saru, whatever
your man's name is. He's like from Wutai, but he looks like
Glenn,
that guy.
Yeah.
He's apparently from First Soldier. Or
the mobile game.
Yeah, I never played that. But when you first see him, like Rufus has a flashback shooting him in the back of the head, and then I was just like, I've never seen that game, but I was like, right, this guy's supposed to be dead. I'd say that's Genova, and it's like shapeshifted into him.
Yeah.
And then like as the game goes on, I'd said to Craig at the time, I was like, I think that's it, because you're supposed to shoot him in the back of the head, and then at the end of the game, that same character turns his back on Rufus, and Rufus shoots him, and then he says to him, like, just like old times, just like the flashback of him killing him another time. But then he turns into
a robed man.
He turns into a random robed man, but I don't think that he has an identity. I think that was just Genova, if you get me. It's
Oh, yeah,
not
yeah.
like he's special.
No,
keeps
not at
that
all.
identity,
Yeah,
No,
that's
you know?
any one of these robed men are just completely replaceable by any of the others.
Yeah, and I
to make
think
them
I
feel
think what they were going for there is that in our main game OG, Rufus Shinra, although he doesn't really kind of come across it always, is a bit of like, I suppose, a friend and ally to Cloud and team. Like, he helps them defeat Sephiroth, and I think Sephiroth obviously knows that, and he's trying to distract them. So what's interesting about this one is that his plan worked. Although Rufus caught on, his plan already worked, because now there's a war back on with Wutai, which is totally different from OG7, and will undoubtedly distract Shinra from being able to do 100% go after Sephiroth in the way that they want to, and they'll be distracted by this war because they've talked about all these kind of rebellion movements really taking up pace within Midgar and stuff like that.
But another thing about that, and it was great because we had Glenn, for me, was the final piece that made me go, okay, now I get how Genova works.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're teeing up that Genova can only take the form of people who are dead. Genova can't take the form of people who are living, but can take the form of anyone who is dead.
No,
Because
it can. In the OG, it can. Because in the OG, there's a moment where you're at the Temple of the Ancients and somebody has the black materia or the key, and then Genova or something comes out as like Aerith or a character that's not with you, and they're like, you have to go help Cloud.
Yeah.
And then they run through
Well,
with
that's
the black
at the North Crater.
No,
Isn't it?
it's
To
at
get the black
the
materia.
Temple of the
Temple
Ancients.
of the Ancients, where you get the black material. Oh, no, actually,
No, because Cloud,
yes,
Cloud
right.
is like doesn't keep it, and then it's brought to him.
Yes.
But it was like a vision or like
But
a false.
I have to go back
memory.
and double check that, because
think-
I very much think that they were teeing up the idea, and they say it often, that those who have fallen in battle, and like that's what happened. The reason the Cetra were wiped out is because Genova took the form of the people who it had already killed, and the fact that Genova took the form of Glenn, who we know died, and immediately took the form of Aerith potentially as soon as she died.
We'll see about
I don't
that
know
one.
about that, but very interesting that you kind of said that there as well. Like before, it was whose form did you say that she took before Aerith?
Glenn.
Glenn. Well, fuck Glenn. Like
I think
he's an absolute nothing character.
But
is a
also
nothing character.
Sephiroth, who did die 5 years
Yes,
ago.
yeah.
or
absolutely.
he's not dead. He's just.
I know. Well,
he's
he
like
exists
a
in the live
fucking
stream, but he
shell.
died technically. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Genova in this game. Like they really go all out, and like if you think of Genova as the thing, like when you fight it, you know when you're on the ship. It looks like just a fucking
Horrible
massacre amount of bodies just
Yeah.
fucking like on the ground sprawled out looking up at the
It's so
ceiling. Like
menacing.
it's
disgusting.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
And I was just like, they've done her so well.
Especially
I mean,
after
the
the
original-
happiest moment in the game with the card tournament. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
And then immediately it gets really dark.
Yeah, but like just with Genova, like in the original game, you never get to see, like you always fight her as a boss, but it's always Sephiroth that you see, and then you're just fighting Genova
For no reason.
And I in this now, like it is the same kind of thing. It's just that when you're fighting Genova, she just looks so fucking cool that it's like really, I don't know, strengthened the image of her being like a primary antagonist. And like I in my mind, I still think it's Sephiroth's will kind of
Well, no matter what,
his
because One
revival.
Winged Angel is such a good song, and because people love Sephiroth, no matter what the true intention was, now Sephiroth is the one
But I
pulling
think
the strings.
I think
because they are rewriting stuff based on how people feel.
Yeah, I think because in terms of we have a multiverse, this should be more about the end of the episode.
I'm very
We'll
much
get
of
there.
the opinion that Genova is the true villain, but because that would like anger 90% of the fans, they're not going to have
But
it that way.
Genova, you could argue that it is just in a different sense, and the whole thing is that like because Genova's cells are in Sephiroth, he can't be absorbed by the live stream because it says
Yeah, that's
somewhere
exactly what I think.
that
yeah.
like the live stream, like if you're of this planet, you can absorb into the live
That
stream.
was such a
And
great story moment.
What was
I loved it.
really fucking cool in this was the Gi moments
Yes.
in the Cosmo Canyon, like their whole story, because they're not of the Earth or they're not of something else, so they can't return
can't
to the
die,
live stream.
yeah.
So it's eternal.
Like they,
Damnation.
But
they
that's the same with Genova then. Genova
Yeah.
can never die.
So like the black materia and the Gi, I see them becoming bigger in the next game. I don't know if like if you give them the black materia, will that inevitably lead to Meteor being used by them to blow up the Earth?
Based on
Or-
what they were saying, 100% would be the case, because as much as
Yeah.
they're like, oh, thank you for helping us, but it's like, no, helping you means that you're just going to use the black materia to destroy yourselves, which means by proxy everyone else dies.
Yeah.
Right? You get to, but that whole, I mean, talking about story beats, we might as well do it while we're on it. Cosmo Canyon as a whole was expanded on incredibly, and as much as I found the Red 13 bits to be disappointing, seeing as you brought up Cave of the Gi and everything that happened with the Gi was just
Awesome to see.
so
that.
good.
bring us the materia. And as soon as they were like the materia of peace, I was like, I bet it's not materia of peace. Like, I immediately, like, some people online were like, oh, the white materia. I was like, no, I definitely think they mean the black materia.
I was like, and even like when you end up washed up on their, you know, in their city or whatever else after you're on the boat with him, I was like, this is not a place of kindness and happiness. Like, this is definitely a messed up place. I really like that because it in the game OG, we only get little glimpses of what the Cetra actually are. And the Cave of the Geek, I think, is the first time. And then, of course, you get a huge jump of it. We're in our Temple of the Ancients. They actually create a story about, like, you know, no, the Cetra aren't actually this pure, good, amazing group that we all should, like, bow down to, because what they did to the Gi wasn't exactly, like, they weren't super kind to the Gi at all. Like, do you know what I mean?
If they're like, hey, we have this world-ending materia, like, obviously the Cetra are gonna be like, yoink, well, like, we're taking that, like, sure, yeah, we promised to give it back. I mean, what are they supposed to do?
Yeah, true,
like,
true.
For me, it didn't seem like, oh, they Cetra were evil. I can't believe they betrayed the Gi.
No,
like,
not they were evil, but I mean to say is that, like, you think of them as like, oh, these all-knowing, all or whatever else, and they would have found a different way for the Gi to not have this immortal life of kind of that was just tragic. But they just kind of like, no, you can't have that. And good luck with everything else, by the way, that we're out. Like, that's what it felt. And I was like, okay. And you get a bit of that in Temple of the Ancients as well, where you're like, these guys weren't perfect. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people were scared of them as well. Like, and that's why the humans.
Well,
the people
but they
turned.
do mention in the, like, they were saying out of nowhere, like, we survived the calamity, but then mankind for some reason turned on us. And then they say it may have been the remnants of the calamity.
Of Genova.
There may have been Genova cells in man that turned them against them, because obviously those men were trying to get into the temple. So they wanted the materia.
Yeah.
And why would men want the materia? For me, it's like Genova was trying to fucking get the materia.
Straight after the
using
calamity.
men to do it, and was why. And the Cetra all died defending the temple. Like, that's how they all came about to lose their
like all that, like, absolutely. But one of the things when, like, toward the end of the game, like, Aerith is talking to the temple about the Cetra, and it like, while in there chatting away, you kind of hear the story of how Genova was using their faces to basically, like, you know, get
Using
them to
their
lower their security, and then, like, was like kind of like doing what the thing would do, like assimilating and kill them and stuff like that. So it was like, oh, it's like a game of Among Us, and there's a Genova out there absolutely fucking laying waste to this race of people. So it could have been humans, or it could be even just like other Cetrans.
It's not
like,
explained outright, which is good in this, because I
well,
still think humans are pieces of shit. But, like, it's good to know that Genova may have had a hand in it.
I just need to go to Lou, so I'll leave you guys with I go to Junon and Costa del Sol. Like, Junon, the boat, Costa del Sol, that moment. I mean, discuss.
Nice. All right. Well, if we're going Junon, do you want to just go for the dance off? Oh, actually, before we do the dance
off. Oh no, you mean the like march?
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, but actually, just before we get that, and this is only a very small thing, and it absolutely doesn't really mean anything in the overall thing. I just thought it was stupid as fuck. Do you know, like, where you go up on the dolphin, you jump up and you lower the crane down, and then you pick everyone up and you send it back up? The moment you get up there, as soon as you come out, there's just two security guards just standing there, and they don't say anything. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's not like a big group of people coming out here shouldn't be conspicuous. Like, where the fuck
that
did
was
they go
odd that they were able to get away so casually. Sure, they're on the deck of the ship as well with thousands of soldiers.
It's just like,
but nobody at the same time,
wants...
Cloud is wearing a soldier outfit.
Yeah.
Like, so he is, and the fact that he's leading that group, it's kind of like, all right, fine. But if any one of them had seen any of the wanted posters, they'd have all been in trouble. Like,
it's fucking absolutely mad. But anyway, that was just like a little gripe, and I found, like, as soon as it happened the first time playing through, I was just like, what the like, those guards are right there. But anyway,
just weren't paying attention. But luckily, the team do turn into, like, Barrett puts on a sailor outfit, and the Tifa and Aerith put on
stop.
their
Seeing Barrett was great fun. And then, like, we'll get to that on the boat. But when you're running around Junon trying to find all the different lads in order to, like...
That took me at least an hour or so to find all 10. Like, I had 4, and I was like, oh my god, there's 6 more of these? I thought I'd been everywhere.
They were fantastic. I just hate you talking about, just as another prediction, the dolphin bit to get up to Junon. Craig, you predicted there was no way in hell that was going to happen. They were going to have the dolphin.
Well, it wasn't like Cloud was in the water and a dolphin fired you up.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did completely do it. Like,
yeah. So I just wanted to make sure.
and it was even more anime than in the original. Like, you did at least 2 double flips, and the dolphin was like spinning and then kicking you again into the air. It was absolutely outrageous.
But sorry, you were talking about the collecting the soldiers.
You're collecting the soldiers, and I thought it was really cool, right? So I've done it both sides now. One, the first time I did it, where you're practicing, you get pulled over by the commanding officer.
Yes.
And you have to do a little march for him. And then
it's
the
a
other
woman now.
No, but it's him and then the woman.
Okay,
but you do the dance for them, and then I've done it where I got it perfect, and they're just like, "You are absolutely astounding! Like, we need to have you as our leader." And then this time I was playing through, I was like, "Do you want to practice?" Like, "Nah, I'll just fucking do it, whatever." And I just like got a good few bads and whatever else. Like, I wasn't overly paying attention because I knew it wasn't the real one. And your man just goes like, "That was the worst performance I've ever seen, but I like your confidence."
So the dialogue was different.
Yeah, and I was just like, I love it.
Yeah. I'm so glad they put that kind of stuff in. The Junon section had me in stitches the entire time. Entire time, like going to get the soldiers, and then you come out of any time you go into a building, you've collected, like, it might be 3 guys or it might be 8 guys depending on the group. You go back inside and the crew is just so much bigger. And
I loved seeing that for the first time.
And you
walk
like,
oh wait a minute, they're actually following me around.
And then they'd say something to you every time you went out. They were like, "Sir, good to see you again, sir."
And all salute.
Yeah, so good. How did you guys, your first go, be honest, did you win the commendation?
I didn't, but then I just kept retrying and got it.
I made sure to do the hardest one possible, which the only way to do that was to not use any of the yellow soldiers. So
yes.
if you used the other 5, the different colors,
you got the 3 hard difficulties, same as myself. Yeah.
And I did not realize you could do it again. So like, I did pretty well the first time. I was like, all right, let's just go. And I made a couple of mistakes on the second one, especially, do you know when it's saying the blue icon? I didn't see at all until I think the last mini game, which was the hold thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of, because usually it was always tap. So every time that popped up, I always tapped, and I got that one wrong. And no, I didn't get the accommodation.
I got the accommodation first time, but which was fun and all, but was actually, I not say I was disappointed, but you told me about, if you fail it, Roach gets the thing. And I actually watched that scene, and I was like, that's a much better scene. I would have preferred, because Roach comes up and he's like, he's as obnoxious as ever, and Heidegger has to give him the trophy, and Heidegger's like, fucking get on with it, mate.
Yeah,
like
he's
a
really
big wheelie up there.
Yeah, he's such a maniac. And yeah, what did you guys think of the kind of the pull away from how Yuffie joins the team? Yuffie as an assassin.
I thought her doing that was stupid as fuck,
yes.
but I thought Heidegger in that moment, I was like, he's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like, in fairness, the only reason he cops it is because I think Barrett or Red 13 shouts, "No, stop!" And then like he looks over and then he's like, "Mr. President."
But he saves his life.
He saves him out, like from a big cut at least. But like in the original, he's like a little wormy fucking peasant, or like, he has no fucking like
other than
bark, he's all bark, no bite.
Yeah.
And in this, he's a big giant for a start, and he's doing like some heroic ass shit.
I can't wait to, because we haven't fought Heidegger yet. Sure, we haven't.
No, we haven't. And it's cool because it seems like they're all going to have a big mechanized suit.
Yeah, we've seen Elena's and we've seen Palmer's.
Palmer's not dead, is he?
No.
Did he get away? Yeah.
No,
he got away. Yeah.
He got away, which is
his fight was hilarious, but he was actually slapping his ass
the
same way he did in the original.
Yeah, that was good fun. It's a pity he didn't die though, because in that one he gets cut up by the blades of the tiny Bronco.
Yeah. Does he die then?
No, he runs away and then a random truck hits him.
Oh, that's.
You don't see a truck in the game ever. And then like
that's so funny, because I was disappointed we didn't get like a hilarious Palmer death, but what can you do? So yeah, you didn't like what they tried with the assassin. I mean, Heidegger was cool, but you didn't like the assassination attempt.
I just the assassination attempt at a different moment in time would have been fine, but like they had literally just squared things with Rufus in that very moment. And then she chose his Shuriken, fucking them over completely.
Yes.
Like they should have been executed right there and then. But
so
Rufus was like, "Nah,
that
don't
made
worry
no
about
sense.
I
that
thought,
Rufus just retreated for no reason. He has thousands of men.
And it's funny when you think of these narrative bits that they couldn't have done better. Because for me, find that Yuffie tries to assassinate, and then Rufus goes, "So you're behind this," and Cloud says, "This was nothing to do with us." What I much would have preferred was that Rufus believed Cloud, because Cloud is telling the truth. He believes him and says something like, okay, we're not safe here, we need to go type thing, because they've kind of created a somewhat of an alliance here, and it just felt really weird that Rufus was like, you'll pay for this. It was like, yeah, well, he should, because they're surrounded by hundreds of Shinra soldiers, the entire might of the military, and they just been like, no, we're going to run off here, we'll see you later. I'm
it's
like,
like
that's
he
so
retreated
weird.
from his own military base where he's thousands of soldiers, like hundreds of airships and shit like that, but one girl with a little shuriken,
and they're all
everyone
out.
fucking bolts. Like there's panic, you know.
Really weird. Craig, I'll take it to you then for our, which was no longer an industrial kind of cargo ship, but was now a cruise ship from.
Wasn't that lovely?
Yeah.
I'm getting to talk about this.
Oh
Excellent.
yeah. I mean,
so the second you get on it, it's just like there's like a section for like middle class and there's upper class, and if you go up there, Andrea's up there and Madam M's up there, and then if you. There's extra like dialogue if everyone's just kind of having fun and relaxing, and then all of a sudden on the intercom it's like, you know what, we're gonna have a Queen's Blood tournament, and then all 5 members of your party are just like, yeah, let's all do it, let's have some R&R for ourselves, like, and no matter what you do, like, it's called round 1 of the competition begin, and no matter what you're doing, I just stopped and listened, because the commentator was telling you what was going on in all the other matches, and I just found that so entertaining to listen to.
Yeah.
Like who was winning, who's getting ahead in the tournament. Because in the first round, Aerith and Tifa, you don't know who won. It's like has Aerith on the ropes, but then afterwards it's like Aerith's making a great comeback, but it doesn't tell you who won. So then in round 2, you get to play against Tifa or Aerith, and I'm guessing that whoever you beat, that person won the first round, because otherwise, that person should go on to win the competition.
Yeah.
But they don't, so I'm guessing they would have lost. But it's great hearing the dialogue so that you know, like, oh, Chadley's doing well. Like, I'm guessing I must have to go up against him.
And
soon.
Barrett is awful at the card
Barrett
game.
loses every game.
Yeah.
But that wow fact, like, first off, it's brilliant in that, like, after you've done 4, everyone's around your table out of nowhere, and they all guide you to the final. And everyone's cheering for you, and it's great, and it's just this big celebratory moment. And when you win, everyone's going nuts. But then there's like this ultimate twist, like Red 13 shows up, like
in
like
the
standing,
Shinra,
and it's portrayed so well. It's like there's this final boss you have to beat in this friendly card game, and there it's like, kick his ass, Cloud, and Tifa's like, no, get him, Red, and everyone on the ship is just immediately behind it. Even the commentator's like, a last minute challenger, will he accept? And Cloud's like, let's go, and he throws his card at the screen, and that's how it like transitions.
It's so
I'm like, amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Just on that, I suppose we didn't give it a chance, and I'll definitely kind of move through a bit, maybe some more of the important story scenes as we go, because you know we are certainly trucking along on time. Queen's Blood.
Yeah, very good fun.
As a thing,
Better than Triple Triad, easy.
I don't know if I agree on that, but I do enjoy it. Yeah.
The only thing that Triple Triad has over it is that you can turn your cards into
items,
which is extremely awesome in 8.
I would have said so. I think the card game is phenomenal fun, but I don't think it has the same kind of character the Triple Triad had. And one of my things I mentioned to you, Craig, that I wish they had it done was that you get all these character cards available when the world really opens up for you at the end of the game. You can go in and do all these challenges for the character cards, Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud. I would much just prefer it if they made it so that way more NPCs in the world that could play the game, and it didn't affect your thing. But no one's going to tell you who's what card. But you go into North Corel and let's say the doctor or even Barrett's wife's, someone from her family has the Barrett card, and that, like, you know, you go to Nibelheim and someone there was like, oh, I have a card that looks just like you type thing, because Cloud grew up in Nibelheim, like all that kind of stuff that you did in Final Fantasy 8 where you're like, I need to talk to Headmaster Sid at this one point in the game, and it's the only time I can get the Squall card,
Noah's dad and stuff,
with the Ifrit card. You've got to lose Ifrit to him, and then he'll play Renoa, and then you have to win both of them back. Like, that thing created, like, I know there was a really cool Queen's Blood story, but I wanted this thing where you just play fucking cards with anybody, and you just happen to come across these amazing cards.
Anyone who got to play cards with, like, was a character.
Yes.
You know, they weren't just someone with 2 lines of dialogue and the same face as the next guy. It was someone unique who had a bit of a story and a bit of gripe with Cloud over the game, like, you know. Yeah. And there's still at least 30 people to play with, which is plenty, like, you know.
Yeah, fair. Going to story beats, we'll kind of get to Costa del Sol, which is just, I mean, I know we all love Costa del Sol, but from a story perspective, it kind of just did what the OG game did, essentially, really. Hojo on the beach.
No, but
that really good, though, I thought.
Doing the mini games to then get your swimsuit wear, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
The Rocket League game in particular was fucking amazing. I would play a game
the Red
of that.
13.
It's just Rocket League, but with 4 golds and all the, like, you're up against chocobos and wolves and things like that. I was like, this is great. I wish there was a whole game of this. But unfortunately, there's only the 2 modes. But when Hojo shows up and you have to fight that boss on the beach with your umbrella,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're in Fun Town here, like, you know? Like, it just felt like a continuation of the boat. We're on holiday and we're just kind of having a side adventure with Hojo,
Yeah.
who is up to mischief, but low level by his
No,
standard.
I think that Hojo in this is way better than in the original, because in the original he's just lounging.
He's just sunbathing.
Whereas in this, he's gotten the heads up off the cruise ship that like the things are on board, and he even tells the captain like, "You're fucked. Like you're gonna die. Yeah, I'll just come and get your remains." Yeah, like he says that to
he
the
does.
guy.
Yeah.
So then he's just going to Costa del Sol with the plan to like fucking like see what's going on,
Pick up the pieces,
and then he
essentially.
has his like machine ready to pick up all the specimens and all that kind of shit. So like the reason why he's in Costa del Sol makes perfect sense. One thing that doesn't make sense, and it's just plot armor, like why didn't the gang beat the fucking shit out of him?
And how does Yuffie create Johnnies? Like, there's loads of stuff you can say, but it's just for fun.
It
like,
is so much
ultimately.
fun. But I will say that whole thing, it's a running theme throughout the game where they're so often they're fighting like a Turk who's out to kill them, or fucking Hojo or Elena, and Cloud's thing is always, no, let them go. I'm like, no, dude, they've been following you for like
Not
100
towards the
hours.
end
Not
of the
towards
game,
the end
it's
of the
not.
game.
No, yeah.
he was definitely going to kill Elena that time.
Yeah. But for so long, he's doing that. You're like, dude, just fucking end Hojo. Everyone hates him. So Costa's still a lot of fun. One of the moments, and I have to. This is the one that I've been so excited to speak about. I was listening to the trailers, and it was the thing I was always talking about. After Costa del Sol, you're kind of going up Mount Corel, which is a great bit, and
I think that was my favorite dungeon.
Yes.
Other than Temple of the Ancients, because it like had everything. But I loved the dialogue with both sets of characters during that one.
And it's the first time you realize that Cloud's getting quite sick as well, like because he has to sit it out for a while, and you finally get a party with no Cloud, which is exciting.
Yeah. Yuffie and Barrett.
Yeah,
I think, isn't
And
which is
Tifa
there
as well.
Yeah, Yuffie, Barrett, Tifa, and they do the whole minecart down the tracks thing, and
with Cloud Jr., little bird.
the bird.
I was like, that's cool.
All so much fun. But I was so excited for when we got to Corel, the town.
Yeah.
And to see what the hell was going on with Dine. And I have to say, it was all... I was disappointed. I think I was disappointed with how they handled this. And the thing that annoyed me the most was the whole thing was great. He finds Dine, he's going after him. There's some get arrested in the prison. And I like kind of how they did that. It was a little bit better.
That they didn't just lock them up for no reason.
Yes.
With this, it was like, no, we think Barrett's the guy, so you have to prove his
You have the
innocence.
privileges, which is
And
a
it
good
is. It
bit.
also isn't the prison.
Yeah, it's just a fun, pretty like roguish place. But going to fight Dine, I felt for Barrett. Like Barrett's character, like I thought just grew and grew. Like him going to Corel was a big turning point for him, and then later on in Temple Ancients you see like what Corel was before and everything, and like, oh my god, Barrett's had it so rough. Dine having a mutant arm was a fucking terrible decision.
That was an unusual decision. I thought you were going to say more about him kind of, like his story not making sense about like when he's like in the original game, he does say that he's going to help Marlene join whatever his wife's name is. So he's saying in the original game that he's going to like basically kill her when he sees her, so that they can both be at ease. And then Barrett steps in. And I think they kind of do that this time as well. So the significance of this battle is fucking great. I loved it. But as you said, I was not expecting Dine to fucking... I don't even know what anime you would call that from, but like,
happening?
so Guy
mutant
has
arm.
his arm, and then out of nowhere, just a load of metal comes up out of it, like a tentacle monster kind of fucking.
Well, I imagine that's just to make the battle more fun.
No,
it is.
And
It
they don't
is
even
for-
explain it.
No,
or
they
anything.
don't. No, at one point when that happens, because Barrett has really unique dialogue during that fight, which is great. Because anytime you use maximum fury, Barrett's kind of like screaming in anguish, which is really, really cool. Like all those bits, they really played into the emotion of the fight super well. But I did have problems with the whole like, just give me a fight. And if I'm just rolling around things shooting at him and he's shooting at me, and it's a shorter fight. Like, but him having a mutant arm and Barrett's like, what the hell to do your arm, Dine? I'm like, no, this is dumb. This is dumb. It didn't need that. But everything else was just like so good.
If they had sprinkled in a little bit of like Shinra found his body and Hojo got fucking hands on him, I would have been like, there you go, there's Hojo weaseling in there making another villain.
Yeah.
But if they didn't do that, so
It's
like,
just completely not talked about. It's just like he has a mutant arm.
I guarantee
reason.
though that they just wanted the bots to be more
Yes.
fun.
Oh,
and
that's
all
100%
they
it.
thought about it.
Yeah, that's 100% it. So it was still amazing. I think it did a lot more for Barrett than it did for Dine. I think Dine's a much better character in OG7. I think in terms of his dialogue and what he chooses chooses to do is cooler for me in a sense.
I like when he's looking at himself and he's just like, my hands are so bloody, and he's actually trying to get it off. I thought that was a really raw,
really
powerful
bad
moment.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Like I think they did dine better in this as like how fucked up he would be.
Yes.
But in the original, he seems just like a fucking like bar. What he says about doing to Marlene, you're kind of like, I can reason with this guy. You know, just had a bad time.
But you can't reason with this time because
this new one is
crazy.
just like he's on the edge completely.
Like the second he sees Cloud, he's just like, that's a Shinra guy, and he just starts firing. Like,
and he starts firing at Barrett as well. Like he just like starts like out of nowhere, just fucking trying to like properly kill him. I think this is like, I don't know if it's a rest between the fight or if it's before the fight starts, but like he's ready to kill Barrett. Like you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, the fight's good to go. I thought that was good. We should talk. I suppose now might be a good place to go into the Golden Saucer as a point. And the one point I will make on this, I thought it was fantastic. But you're right. The Golden Saucer feels empty to me.
Yeah.
When you were talking about in part one of this, you were saying places.
Well, I
empty.
doubt many people can afford it.
Oh yeah, true.
You have to have a buggy or a helicopter to get there.
Yeah.
Although, like, clearly that's not a thing.
But did they deliver on the Golden Saucer?
Yeah, in spades. It's brilliant. Like the amount of mini games, the visual-esque nature of it, even the things that like the guests say. It's like, oh, I want to go over here and I want to go over here. Like, it's just all brilliant. And even the like the muggle things to help you get, like, it's like, just name a square and I'll get you there.
Yeah,
like, it's just so well put together that I'm like, no, this feels like a real theme park here.
It's not that, like, it's a great area and like there's so many fun mini games, but realistically all of those fun mini games bar chocobo racing could be in the one like
I know, but
area.
the idea is it's a theme park, so they have to make it look like that.
Yeah,
like,
no, I get that as well. And like Gold Saucer, like it has a lot of fun stuff going on, and I wouldn't have called that one of the more empty. I mean, like when you're running around the open map, you come across like you don't come across like wandering people or
sorry,
like
I think cats are on the Hoover. Keep talking, I'll go.
So you're wandering around the map, like there might be these like little areas you can find that have like 2 chests that you can empty.
Yeah,
and that's supposed to be like an attraction on the map, and that's
it's a point
bullshit.
of interest. Yeah,
it's shit.
But it's just something that visually looks nice.
But why couldn't they have every so often like just put something that's not that in?
Like what?
Like I don't know, like a merchant or someone to just change it up a little bit, like
because the game is already gigantic.
Yeah, I know,
and
but like
it already has more than it should. So I don't want them to waste assets on things like that when we could have an extra town. Like Nibelheim was fucking massive. The town under Junon was massive.
Nibelheim is not massive. Like the town,
it's way bigger than the original.
No, it's not. I mean. It's tiny. Like it's got like, and you can only walk into about 4 buildings. Like
you love walking into buildings.
I love it, and that's like I love robbing all the neighbors. And only in one game, I can't even remember what game it was now, but like I went into someone's house and like opened the chest, and they're just like, you can't just come into someone's house and take what you want.
Baldur's Gate, I'd say, or something like that.
It could have been, but like just a game that pulls you on that, and that's what everybody does. So like for me, obviously it would have made the game outrageously bigger, but like I just liked the freedom of wandering into people's houses, and like when I was younger especially, and I played the game countless times, I would wander around and like go into someone's like an NPC's house and be like, so this is how the other side lives, huh?
Yeah. I'm enjoying this exploration,
having a little look around, and like that's how you always found secrets. Like Zack's parents in the original,
true.
You only found that by going into buildings that had nothing to do with the story and just having a little
which
wander
is what
around.
I think I mentioned it as well. What I loved about the OG game was that it kind of encouraged you to be a little bit more exploratory. Speaking of the Gold Saucer, I have to ask, Craig, I'll ask you first. Who did you take on your date?
On that one. So are you talking about the first part?
No. Main date. We'll talk about main date.
When I opened the door, Red 13 greeted me. So I paused the game. I hit reset, and then I immediately went out and tried to find the first quest I could with Aerith, which happened to be the first one I found.
Red 13 was going to be your.
But that's because I was completing every single section and doing every single minigame. That every one of my characters had a blue bar. So I was like, I have no idea who's going to be. Like it was probably whoever most recently got to the blue bar.
Yeah.
You know, because it was Red 13. I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? And then I went and did one quest with Aerith. Her blue bar didn't go up to like the bluest bar.
Yeah.
It stayed the same, but that was enough to just change it to her.
Nice.
And then I was like, okay, now I'm right with the world.
Everything's okay.
I got Aerith first time, but I didn't actually understand how it worked. So what I did was I got Aerith first time, and then as that whole scenario goes on, there's a scene where you're in the play, and the play was fucking amazing all in its own right. But just talking about the character choices, I thought that maybe my relationship wasn't high enough with like Tifa and Kate Sith or whoever else was in the party, because first off, Aerith was just at my door. I didn't realize that could be anybody. And then next, in the whole play situation, it's Barrett and Red. They're like the two villains in the play, and Aerith is your princess or whatever.
Tifa was the princess in mine.
What? Oh, well, you went on a date with Tifa though, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
But no matter who you pick, Aerith sings the song.
Yes.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like you can go on a date with everyone, but halfway through the date, we're going to substitute your date with Aerith anyway, you know?
Yeah. I thought I snuffed Tifa, and I actually thought it was this exact moment at the very start of the game where Cloud's talking about what he did with Tifa. Like, he tells the story. He's like, oh, I went into Tifa's. And they're like, what? You went into my house? I was like, yeah, I just wanted to see if you were there. And then you go upstairs, and it's just like, what? You went upstairs? Yeah, I just wanted to see who was there. They're like, I went into your room. Did you go in? And Cloud's just like, yeah, I went in. And then if you go over to her wardrobe, it's just like, I went up and opened your things. And it's like, it prompts you, do you want to like stay with this? And I just was joking. So I was like, yeah. And then it's just like their impression of you has changed, Aerith and Tifa. And they lowered. And in my mind, I was just like, oh, Tifa, she hates me because I went through her like belongings and stuff.
I mean, if Tifa and Aerith both were annoyed, then at least you lost points equally. So it won't matter.
Yeah, but I mean, that is funny. Because
I went through Tifa's stuff.
Yeah,
I
know, but both Aerith and Tifa say bastard at the same time.
Yeah. I love that scene. It's great. Were you satisfied with the date? Did you think that the date went well?
I thought the date was lovely. I thought it was really, really nice. And what was good is because they are definitely shifting Cloud's, like they're pushing Cloud and Tifa together, and they're pushing Zack and Aerith together.
Yeah.
The original game didn't do that.
Yeah.
It was a love triangle. This game is not. It's 2 and 2. But because they kept the original dialogue, it very much seems like Aerith does actually really care about Cloud, because she goes on about how you're not like Zack and I really want to be here with you. You know, but the moment was ruined because in the previous location in Nibelheim, Cloud remembers Zack, and not only does he remember Zack, he remembers that Zack talked about Aerith a lot. And so immediately during that date, I'm like, so now Cloud remembers it and even talks about it. He says, hey, did Tifa talk to you? And that happens regardless of whose date you're on.
Yeah. This moment that you're about to describe made me laugh really hard, but just go ahead.
So, like, you're on a date with Aerith, and Cloud clearly feels terrible because now he's been crushing on his best friend's girlfriend, who he only remembered yesterday. Yeah. and Cloud in this moment is being an absolute piece of shit. So like it was ruining the moment, but that's all because of Crisis Core. The way they've done that. But before I had that realization, I was like, man, this is a great date, and oh my god, isn't this absolutely amazing? But looking back on it, I can see the turmoil in Cloud, because he's holding her hand and he clearly cares about her, but he can no longer go further than that because he now remembers that Aerith and Zack dated. So it's impossible for Cloud and Aerith now to have a relationship.
I never thought of it that way. That's interesting. I fucking thought it was hilarious though when Cloud goes to her. Did Aerith talk to you yet? And what?
Did Tifa talk to you?
Sorry, did Tifa talk to you yet? And then like Aerith just goes, no, and then there's a quick flashback to her and Tifa, and then it's just like Cloud says he knows Zack, and she just goes, what? It's just like from the two like in quick succession.
But I love that because it's so in tune with Aerith's character, because she still wanted Cloud to be honest with her. She still wanted Cloud to be like she didn't want him to turn away knowing that Zack was her boyfriend. She was like, no, do you actually like me? Then that's great. But Cloud was way too emotionally destroyed to do anything. So he holds her hand, and that's the end of it.
I didn't realize what happened with the Tifa date. I thought the Aerith and fucking Cloud date was like the cutest, most wholesome thing ever. I actually was like, this reinforces their love more than anything. And there is a moment where they're on the carriage or whatever, and fireworks go off and project into the carriage, and they get scared and kind of hold on to each other. And then in that kind of moment, like Cloud just kind of links into her hand, and it is so fucking cute. Like it is really, really, really nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but because the flashback happened, it's ruined for me. It's ruined.
Okay, fair. I was so glad it was Tifa. I'm a Tifa man, you know. I was so glad it was Tifa for me. It wasn't that I planned it that way. The date was great. had a great time, and I was like, the game is still slamming.
Have you
all the way
since
through.
watched the other ones?
I haven't, but Darren told me what happened with his. We were sharing stories.
We were sharing date stories.
So I wasn't, but did you notice that like even on that date where Cloud kisses Tifa in that scene, it's really awkward, but it's Cloud, and just before that happens though, he still does say the dialogue with, "Hey, did you talk to Eric yet?"
Yeah.
And Cloud is like, she must be really hung up on Zack. Like he's probing for information from Tifa.
Yeah.
And Tifa's like, oh yeah, I think it's multiple things, you know. And then there's clearly sadness in his face, and then it progresses the date, and then the little kiss scene happens. But just so you know, that date is non-canon. That didn't actually happen.
Which one? The Tifa Cloud
the Tifa date. Canonically, Cloud and Aerith went on the date.
No,
and that's how the game will progress forward.
Craig, canonically, Cloud went on a date with Tifa for me, and I'm delighted about it.
Oh no,
you can't
but
take
that
that away from me.
didn't happen. Because only one of them can happen in the actual story.
Well, have you seen what happens with Red? I haven't.
That's the most interesting one. The Red one, he admits that he could see the future.
Yeah.
Oh.
He tells, and there's also a moment where Cloud touches his paws and goes, "Oh, they are nice," which is lovely. Like, but
do they hold hands? Just when he touches his paw.
I think he touches his paws when they're spinning the wheel thing. Like,
okay.
You know? But Red 13 goes, when Eric touched me, I got glimpses of the future, and we have been able to see the future. And then he's like, "Please, Cloud, we have to protect her."
Does he remember any of that stuff?
So he remembers some of it, but I think it's kind of our first glimpse into the idea that the Whispers are slowly taking those memories away. So yes, they were able to see the future, but the whole point of the Whispers is to be like, no, you can't have that knowledge. That's not what's meant to happen here. So we're taking that away from you. And it's the first time, because I mean, I didn't get the Red 13, but I watched it, and I was like, interesting that you have to get Red 13 on a date to have that little bit of information dump that you wouldn't, unless you're, of course, like I'm watching loads of YouTube videos and getting hang of it. That's the only
very essential to the main story.
Yeah.
You know. But again, that's a new development that they've had, because I'm convinced that they rewrote how that works because of Crisis Core.
Yeah,
because Eric and Red 13 just lost their memories of all that.
Yeah,
that is just too convenient.
You know, the classic writers get out of
shit,
jail.
I forgot.
Yeah,
it's
get
gone.
out of jail free card. Before, because we are on a, kind of run up on time, but I want to get to like Temple of the Ancients as the last piece for this part. Is there any part in between kind of what we talked about up to Temple of the Ancients that you want to bring up that you thought was a highlight?
One disappointment that I had, and it was only because I was really, really excited about it, was in Nibelheim, where Cloud, Tifa, and Yuffie climbed the mountain. I'm like, yeah, this is great. But then it switches to Kate Sit, who was really, really fun for the first few minutes to play. I loved how he rolled and then did this little hey, and he jumps to he does this little like animation with his fist. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But as soon as you get to the mansion, I was like, oh, here we go, the mansion. But you immediately go into the basement.
Yeah.
Like the mansion, you only see like the ground level of the mansion, which sucks, because in the other game you saw everywhere in the mansion. But in this you don't. You go into like a bunker with Hojo. And during that whole sequence, Kate Sit, Barrett, and Aerith have virtually no dialogue together.
It was a real filler
other
for me.
than just like, hey, are you okay? Or let's keep going. They never stop and just go, hey, so what do you guys think about what we're like? There's none of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is such a missed opportunity, because we'll never ever have these three characters together on their own ever. And it was just a moment missed. Like, you know, I was really disappointed with that.
And I was excited. His walk, how they animated him walking, was the best fucking thing ever. But his bit got a bit old for
Throwing
me
the
quite quickly.
boxes was shit. Yeah. Every time I missed, I went, oh no, I have to go. And it was really hard, especially the one that rotated. The one in the air and you can throw it up there.
And it'll land in the thing.
I missed it so many times.
Colm, any other highlights before we touch on Temple of the Ancients?
Like we already talked about, like at the start of it, Chocobo wise, like the Nibel area, since we're in that neck of the woods, I thought that was great. It was the first time exploring felt like it was really traversable. Like other than that, I found that the Chocobos were very unreliable as like
in the Gongaga and Cosmo Canyon region in particular.
It's real. The Chocobo in Nibelheim is real liberating, because you can
it's so freeing. Like you're just fucking flying up everywhere you want to go, and then like there's like little tricks where like you find like a pool in an island, and then you use the pool to shoot yourself higher. You're like, oh, it's so fun.
Did you guys do the submarine quest? Where you went
I saw the submarine.
So sorry, it's not a submarine quest. It's the proto relic quest where you have to just follow the robed guys. That was the worst proto relic quest. Where they went under the airstrip where there was a submarine hangar. And
that was
like,
cool.
I was like, oh, they are
Yeah,
foreshadowing.
that's very cool. But that was cool though. Like there were certain areas of that base where there was just a little splash of water, and you're like, oh, I have to use that to get up. Like, good mechanics.
There's like that Nibel area as well. Like this is like, rather than go down to the best points, this is one last grievance that like think I can say for this evening.
Yeah.
The game has so many slow down moments and unnecessary fucking like quick time actions. Like we didn't talk about it yet. I'm shocked we didn't. But like it's like you're crawling and it's like hold L2.
Yeah.
That is the
Hold
single worst
R2.
part of the entire game, I think, because it removes, like, it's supposed to be one of Sephiroth's like greatest moments is slashing everyone down in Nibelheim. But there's 4 people with guns on them, and because you can only crawl one step at a time, they have the guns on them for more than 30 seconds, and none of them fire. Yeah. He just slowly, one at a time, kills them, and they all just stand there.
It was really weirdly done, yeah.
But like, so between like random moments like that, like where you have to crawl really slowly, or you have to like some of the chocobo hunting them down is fine. But there's so many moments where you have to walk at a snail's pace for no reason other than like the game won't let you run. Like if you try to run, it forces you into a walk.
It's usually because they're talking or something.
Yeah, but like whatever the different kind of reasons are, the game puts you in that position so often, and then you have all the Chadley messages coming in and all this different other breaks in gameplay.
So much interruptions.
All together, it just kind of takes you out of the game a little bit.
When we're doing our part 3 there, which I will get into like, you know, a little bit after this, there is one part where you have to press the buttons that I thought was fucking unbelievable, and we will get to that. I'll hold it. You know, when I hear that, you have to listen to the next episode.
We're not doing it all now?
Oh no, I'm going to go to part 3 now.
We're just going to keep going from there now.
No, yeah, we can go for as long as we like. But no, well, that'll be in part 3 when I get to like the end game section. Just for myself, to touch on a piece before we move on to Temple of the Ancients, Vincent and fighting Vincent's
so cool.
Form.
I forgot about that. And thank you for bringing
the
it up.
Galleon Beast.
It was awesome.
The Galleon Beast was the whole Vincent introduction was quality. I loved it. Really loved it.
I didn't make any. He was just a security guard. I was like, "What's going on here?" Like,
he's technically like that in the old one, isn't he?
I know,
he's just been locked in a room.
I assume because he was in the coffin, that's what was stopping him from aging. But I guess it's not that.
Oh no, I'd say it's because he's like a vampire or fucking chaos beast or whatever the hell.
But I honestly thought he had been asleep for years. But I guess he has been just active.
Just security guard. And how many people have gotten into that basement?
In the last
well, I know that Cloud and Tifa were there 5 years ago, and he was nowhere to be seen.
Oh yeah. Well, like they never went down that deep. They never went. No,
they did. They're outside that very room.
In the OG one, we don't know if they'll do it in this one.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and that could be something that I think you're right. I think it takes away from Vincent's mystique. So I wonder, will they not introduce Kid, Cloud, and Tifa? If being outside that door, because it wouldn't make sense. Because he'd come out and be like, "I'm security. What are you kids doing here?" Like,
I know Cloud does go down there to chase Sephiroth when he sees Genova. Him and Sephiroth go down there. So Vincent's door was right there. So supposedly he was in there.
But their staff at that point. That's Sephiroth Soldier First Class and Zack Soldier First Class essentially. So Vincent doesn't need to be on security, you know.
One of the biggest, it was like my own like fucking. I got excited and let myself down. Do you know, like right after you do the Nibel stuff and you go off, Vincent joins you and comes with you. You go to Gold Saucer, and then Katesit does what happens. We won't go into that, but he that happens. He leaves your party, and when he left my party, I didn't cop this, but I went into my weapons tree, and it just said question, move, and I was like, am I gonna get to play as Vincent? And I got so excited for about 5-10 minutes, and then I was just like,
oh, it's just because Katesit's gone. Yeah. Because I have the art book on the table, and if you look through the art book there, when I opened it up, and it was showing there's a whole section with weapons and showing everybody's weapons, and even had a page for Vincent's gun, and I was like, what does that mean? But unfortunately we didn't get to play as
like
Vincent.
With how much they put into say Junon and the grasslands, like it made sense that they just couldn't get Sid. Like they arrived so late in the game. It's crazy how like, even Katesil, I'd argue, arrives very late.
When you get him on your team permanently after he betrays you, that's right at the death. Like, I mean, he joins the team right at the death. So
but like Katesil's missing for all of chapter 12, 13. And you only get him back for the last chapter.
Fight.
And by then it's too late to upgrade his weapons or anything like.
He's quite a challenging character. Okay, guys. Well, I guess we'll take a quick break and we'll go on to our part 3, which will be. I say quick break. This will be an episode splitter, but we're gonna revisit Temple of the Ancients and the end of the game and what we thought was going on with that ending. Until then, don't forget as well, of course, if you are absolutely bed into these episodes of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review, all 3 episodes are currently up on our Patreon over at patreon.com/the gift of gaming, where you can check out not only all of our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review before it's released week on week, but also just a buttload of loads of other content. You can check it out all there for the price of a coffee a month. It's a great deal and helps us keep the mics on. But until next time, listeners, as always and forever, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.